Hi, welcome. I'm Sheana Davis, the Epicurean Connection, and today, thank you for joining us at Cheese Chat with Sheana Davis. And today we have two fantastic guests. We have Karen Lundquist from the American Cheese Society, our executive director, and celebrating 90 days today as our executive director. Thank you, Karen. And we have Sommelier Todd Jolly from Sonoma's Best, which is located one block from my warehouse, one of my good friends, and I love his wine palette. So thank you, Todd, for joining us.
Great to be here.
And today we're going to share some wines that Todd selected. And Karen, what cheese do you have in front of you today? Any cheeses?
I have three cheeses. I have a lovely California cheese, Humboldt Fog, that I'm sure all of you have heard of. So
yes.
It goes really well with rosé. And then I have two goat cheeses that are Irvy goat cheeses, fresh goat cheeses. One is from Colorado, so it's from Haystack, and the other one's from Vermont Creamery. So there's a nice comparison opportunity there, and I think all three will go well with the wine, and it'll be fun to try.
Absolutely. And Todd, what do you have in front of you, cheese and wine?
Cheeses. I wish I was as well spoken as all of you about cheese. I'll start off with the wines I have. I have the Matanzas Creek Sauvignon Blanc, super classic Sonoma County staple when it comes to white wine, which is really crisp and delicious. Should pair nicely with a lot of things. One of my favorite small production local wines, the Dane Cellars Chenin Blanc, completely organically farmed out of Mendocino County, so just north of Sonoma. And then our local favorite rosé, the Epicurean Connection rosé of Grenache, made by a great friend of mine, Jess Wade.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But I have,
what do you got? No, please, Todd, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like showing labels on things. I have this Valley Gold kind of Asiago-esque cheese, so nice hard cheese today. Then the Harvest and Cellars out of Vermont. I had this cheese today for the first time. It's actually wrapped in some tree bark, like interlining tree bark, which is really interesting. And then obviously the wonderful, wonderful cheese from Epicurean Connection. And Sheana, I'm not gonna talk about that. I'll let you do that one.
You did well, Todd. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So the Stero Gold, I'll hold up. This one is made by Karen and Joe Morita. They're about 30 miles from us. They're in West Petaluma, actually in the town of Valley Ford. And Karen, just so you know, they just opened the most wonderful cafe that is amazing. And Todd, you and your wife should go out when we're allowed to go out. They make the best grilled cheese sandwiches. And I have to say, I have a place in my heart for them because I sold them my cheese case from my old cheese shop. So their cheeses in their cheese shop sit in my old cheese case. And I love that. And Harvest, and of course, we love Mateo and Andy and all things that Jasper Hill Cellars does. One of the founders of the Victory Cheese Project. And this one is wrapped in bark, correct? Todd, you're correct? And they actually shave the bark from the trees on their property to make this cheese and wrap it. So it's pretty amazing. And I know, Karen, you've had this cheese, right?
Yes. It's an ACS award winner.
Yes. And it's amazing. And then over here we have our Lucy, which is our goat milk brie, which we purchased all the cheese molds, which we make the shape in from Redwood Hill Goat Farm from Jennifer Bice. And then they're made for us at Laura Chanel. So it's like a virtual cheese, if you would. It's our recipe, but I feel we have the good karma from Redwood Hill Goat Farm and made at Laura Chanel, which Todd, as the crow flies, is a mile from your wine shop.
Absolutely.
So with that said, Todd, can you share the information about the wines? You want to start off with the Matanzas Creek and pair it with maybe the Lucy and the Humboldt Fog?
Absolutely. So the Matanzas Creek Sauv Blanc is in a very complimentary way, a very easy wine to understand. It's very tropical and kind of herbaceous on the nose. It isn't your basic Sauvignon Blanc though, and in saying that, I mean it can stand up to some pretty strong cheeses. There are some Sauv Blancs where you don't have enough of that kind of floral or herbaceous characteristic or enough acidity to kind of cut through anything. The Matanzas Creek has been a California and Sonoma County staple for years and years and years, and it's because of its super high quality for the price point. So you're under $20 here a bottle, and you can pair it with some incredible cheeses. So, you can get away with spending a little more on cheese and pair with this. So sometimes when I think of a stronger cheese, I like to have a strong wine to go with it. So one thing isn't being kind of, overbearing over another. And I think this Matanzas Creek really has, that power to match up with both of those cheeses. Do you want me to go through the other two wines right now as well?
Please. Yeah, might as well. Yes, please.
So my personal favorite wine of the lineup today is this Dane Cellars. And Sheana, when talking about the crow flies, it's pretty fun because where Laura Chanel sits, you can basically roll a ball and hit Dane Cellars. So we're talking about this.
Right behind it, right behind the
with the
fence.
Chenin Blanc. So everyone talks about Sonoma, how small of a town it is. Literally my shop, Sonoma, the Epicurean Connection, and Dane Cellars Winery are all about within a mile of each other on the same street. So it's pretty cool.
So
But this
Karen,
one,
welcome to our neighborhood.
yeah, exactly right.
It sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it's great. So Bart Hansen, the winemaker of this, is absolute local, really really nice guy. Worked all over the industry. He named the winery after his son Dane, and this wine's special because it's from the Buddha's Dharma Vineyard up in Mendocino County, and it's fully organically farmed, almost by neglect. And I mean that in a positive way. The vines are just out there growing on their own. Rattlesnakes, birds' nests, vines. It's really pretty amazing. So when it comes to the wine, it's going to be the creamiest wine of the lineup today. That creamy, kind of citrusy, and really kind of supple factor plays in really well with cheese pairing. And so if you're going to have one of these creamier cheeses today, rather than with the one hard cheese that I have, this is going to pair really, really nice. And it's got a very good, like ripe, like sun-warmed pear and kind of like Granny Smith apple quality to it, but definitely like warmed in the oven or even just sun-warmed. And then the third, the Epicurean Connection Rosé. Again, shout out to Sheana. So 100% Grenache off Sonoma Mountain. And when we're talking about close neighborhoods, Matanzas Creek and this vineyard are within probably 1.5 miles of each other, up in like right by the Bennett Valley, ABA, and Sonoma Mountain. And so if you're flying in from the ocean, you're going to hit Sonoma Mountain and then drop into Sonoma Valley. So these vineyards are sitting up kind of above the fog line. And that allows for nice ripeness to this. So you're going to get kind of beautiful strawberry, melon, watermelon flavors, even a little bit of honeydew out of a rosé, which is really fun. So when you get those kind of bright and refreshing fruit qualities, can really pair nicely with the earthiness of the cheeses.
That's great. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, no problem.
And hey, Karen, you want to share about your cheeses that you have in front of your plate?
Absolutely. So the Humboldt Fog is this first one. It's a California cheese. It's a bloomy rind, and chime in if I'm wrong, because 90 days in, I don't know everything yet.
No, you're doing good. Come on.
And you can see a lot of the gooey edge here right under the rind. And then this is its signature. It's a vegetable ash that adds a little bit of flavor, but it just makes it a beautiful cheese. So you can see this great rind and that gorgeous line that's so indicative of it. And I love the history. So American Cheese Society is all about artisan cheese making in the U.S., kind of taking some of the European traditions and other traditions and translating it into America. And Mary Keene who is at Cypress Grove and makes this great cheese, is one of the founders of artisan cheese in America. There's a lot of goat cheese women, and she was one of them. So it's a little bit of a chalky taste. It's a great comparison to some of the fruity wines and some of that summer taste. So I love what you said about Matanzas Creek being able to stand up to something like that. And then the other two I have are both fresh goat cheeses. So these two, this is the Haystack, and it's rolled in an herb de Provence in Colorado here. And then this one is from Vermont Creamery with a similar herb wrap, so you don't even have to garnish it. It's all ready to go. Both are supposed to be served room temperature so that they're really spready and gooey, and a great thing to have on there. Tangy, so there'll be a great contrast again to the wines, I think, to the sweetness of the wines. And I love the goat milk side again. So all three of them have that in common. The cheesemaker for Haystack is Jackie Chang Haystack, and she's right here in Colorado. So that was pretty fun. And then the other one that in Vermont Creamery, that's again some of the history with Allison Hooper and Bob Reese, starting that creamery back in 1989. So a lot of that American artisan cheesemaker history there as well. So what would you guys add about the cheese?
Well, thank you for including both Allison Hooper, Mary Keene, and Haystack. And I know years ago when we hosted the Sonoma Valley Cheese Conference, we had the leading ladies of Chev. And so we had Allison Hooper, Laura Chanel, Jennifer Bice, Judy Shad was on the agenda, but she couldn't make it, but she was encompassed with us, of course, and Laura Chanel. And so those ladies really blazed the path of cheese itself. And Laura Chanel really, when she moved to Sonoma County, she wanted to be part of the wine growth. And Todd, for the link, her original cheese pairing was with Mary Edwards.
Nice.
Aww.
And it's a great history. Like thinking about Mary Edwards is like an icon for Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay for West County, Sonoma County. And Laura Chanel really looked at that component of the wine pairing. So it was really fun to learn from her. And her husband, John Van Dyke, Laura Chanel's husband, helped me develop my Lucy, my goat milk brie.
Nice.
And also our signature cheese, Jalise de la Vallée. When I wanted to put a cheese to market, I was able to drive down to 8th Street and ask them, can you help me develop it? And Laura Chanel said, I cannot, because it's her company, but but my husband will. And so over a few fly fishing trips at the creek and the river, I learned how to make cheese from John Van Dyke.
Nice.
Oh,
So
wow.
I love that about our community. And Karen, I'll follow up with history on that later. But I think as we all sit, why don't you each pick one of your cheeses and taste and enjoy? And we have a few questions that have come in through my daughter, Karina. Karina, you want to read off a few of the questions? She's raising her hand. And Karen, you'll meet my daughter one day. I promise.
Wonderful.
Yeah, well, there was one that was requesting to know what types of cheeses, what family of cheeses is your favorite to enjoy at home during the summer?
Oh, good question. Karen, you want me to take it? You take it?
You should take it. Absolutely.
I think you have a pretty good summer plate right there, but I'd say in the warm weather, I tend to go to harder cheeses because they can withstand the heat. I also like brie camembert styles, and also some of the hardier, like the blues, maybe a point raised blue could hold up in the summertime. So I'd say something that's hardier. And if you are going to be traveling, get an ice pack and freeze it, and that way you can carry your cheeses with you on the road, because we don't want our fresh cheeses, Chèvre, Fromage Blanc, some of these beauties to get too warm because they melt, like the beautiful Humboldt fog, which I love when it oozes out. But some people aren't familiar with that. And so if they're not familiar, they may not want to eat it. So I'd recommend carrying an ice pack and a little cooler pack. And I love that, like Todd's Wine Shop has little cooler packs to go. And Todd, I just saw you had the mini fog lights, the mini baby Humboldt fog in your shop just the other day. So thank you.
Yeah.
That's great. And what was the other question, Karina?
Well, to go with that, it actually makes for the next question, which was for Todd. And this was asking what he might think is the best way to store an open bottle of wine during the summer.
In the fridge.
Maybe 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, I mean, if you just think of wine as another perishable item at your house or in your kitchen, even if it's red and you're not going to get back to it, put it in the fridge. If you don't have any, gas at all to put in the wine, putting it in the fridge always works. It's not going to keep it. It's not going to keep it perfect, but it will.
Days?
Yeah, and if it's the right bottle of wine, I mean, I think you should pour yourself another glass. But if you do need to, kind of save it, put it in the fridge, and then, if it's a red wine, pull it out an hour before you're going to drink it and let it come back up to temperature.
Todd, my husband just gave us a question. I'm holding up the paper.
Mm-hmm.
Or he gave us, I did not know this. I'm learning today, Karen. First of all, the wood on the Harbison is spruce.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really important. And Mateo would love for us to be able to name the tree bark, right? But second of all, Mary Edwards was the original winemaker at Matanzas Creek in the 70s.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Oh.
Nice. Very
And
cool.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, neither did I.
So thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love learning those tips of history.
Nice.
And Karen, I loved being able to ship you wine from our region. And post-COVID, we hope that you'll come visit and sit on Todd's beautiful patio and have a glass of wine.
Oh, that would be wonderful. I would thoroughly enjoy it. Yeah.
Karina, there was 2 more questions for Karen and Todd.
Well, one of the forwarded questions I have here was, what do you see for the future of retail for wine and or cheese? And do you see there being an increase in a turn toward virtual classes such as these for individuals or for groups?
Good question.
I have a lot to say about that. Karen, if you want to say anything, feel free to go first, and then I can.
Karen, go first, please, because I know you have a vision for ACS.
Absolutely. And we actually surveyed our members to sort of get a sense of where they're at right now too. And clearly the restaurants and that world just dramatically disappeared a few weeks ago. And we're seeing some of it start to come back, but we're also seeing that our members really have had to find ways to be incredibly flexible about what kinds of cheeses they're producing and how they're getting them out to their customers. And so the vision that I see for ACS is we need to be more present throughout the year and help people have resources and information available in an ongoing way. You know, we're going to find new things to pivot and to have to adjust to, maybe daily. It feels like hourly some of these days.
It does.
Doesn't it? And we were going to be in Oregon this summer for our conference, and unfortunately we aren't able to do that in person, but we are having a member session on the 23rd of July. So we'll spend about half the day together. We invited Ari to come and talk about hope.
Excellent.
And how to, yes. So he'll be a good person to kind of bring all that together and think about the future and how you can navigate these waters and stay comfortable and not paddling for your life. And so we included that, but we're also including our regular business meetings so people can hear about what's going on with ACS and how we're supporting our members. And then the last thing we're doing is a two-way town hall because we want to keep hearing from everyone. And we want to make sure that we're providing things in ways that make sense for everyone. Everybody's tipping to webinars, so we know that people are getting a little worn out from that too. So we want to make sure that we're not, you know, just striking one note, that we're able to do more things. And we also started our biennial survey to ask, you know, what's the health of the industry at large? And so based on some of this data that we're collecting, we're wanting to reach out to the media in general and make sure that we're connecting them to local cheesemakers. That might be at your farmer's market. You might need to buy a good Christmas present or a birthday present and things like that. And we want people to be thinking local and thinking American cheese right now.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
Todd?
To answer the kind of the retail with wine and cheese thing, with the, you know, the tragedy of all these restaurants having to close, I kind of took it on my shoulders to try to help people support local wineries and the wineries they would be buying off of these restaurant lists in a very easy way. And so initially and immediately we pivoted to free online delivery in town. So kind of like the hyper local, shop local, support local method works really well here in Sonoma because we are a like relatively small town when it comes to distances. And so that worked out really well for us. Right off the bat, I started doing online Zoom classes, and we've actually transitioned that into tasting classes. And so we have 5 to 6 ounce small bottles that we pour the morning of the tasting and then deliver to people's homes. And then I give a seminar last week. We did Italy a week from today. We're doing a blind tasting so that nobody will know what the wines are. And I'm going to walk everybody on the call through how to blind taste. And
isn't that fun, Karen?
That'll be pretty fun. And on top of that,
amazing.
We're doing cheese delivery. We're doing food delivery. It's just kind of trying to bring what people can't have when they're out and about to their homes and try to make it feel a little bit better. Like, oh, I didn't have to do anything and this stuff arrived. You know, when you get that wonderful feeling when you're at a restaurant to experience what they, you know, what they can serve and what they can do for you. So we're just trying to capture the magic from that we can at a delivery level. And like today, I had a customer who picked up a curated Brunello tasting. And so we had, you know, Brunellos back to 1987 to 2012.
Wow.
And this is something they wouldn't normally be doing, but they've been stuck at their very beautiful home for 4 months and they want to do something fun. I told them I couldn't come to their house, but I'd be happy to jump on a Zoom call and talk through the pairing with them or the vertical with them. And so, you know, it's just, I think if everyone, I know a lot of restaurants are doing it too, just pivoting into what the new reality is, because I personally think if you wait until this is over, it's just going to be too long. And so as a server of customers, I think it's important that we make it easy for the customers and we do the work so they can enjoy.
And that right there, Todd, is why I tied you into this call with Karen,
Mhm.
because Karen being our new ACS director, and I welcome you with open arms.
Thank
But
you.
Todd has a vision, and Todd sees what I think the American Cheese Society sees. And we're lucky, Todd, to have you in our town and bringing the wine. And Todd's palate brings us wines from not just Sonoma. Sonoma can sometimes be Sonoma centric, but Todd's palate is Sonoma, Napa, Oregon, Washington, Italy, Spain. And
Oh,
we
don't
need
forget
that
about
here.
my dear love of France.
Okay, France. And by the way, I give Todd kudos, Karen. My favorite rosé, Campouget Rosé. And when it was time for me to go to France last year with my husband for my 50th birthday with our daughter, Todd set us up for an overnight stay at Campouget Winery.
Oh, how special.
Yeah, it's a wonderful
Wow.
place. It's a 15th century castle. It's a cool place.
It was pretty
That's
cool.
incredible.
So all three of us and you and your wife enjoyed it. So before we depart, I just wanted to share a little bit about the three cheeses, the Valley Ford and the Harbison and the Lucy. But Valley Ford is Karen and Joe. Joe is her son, Joe Marita. And her second son has just opened his own dairy and will be providing additional milk due to the growth of Valley Ford Creamery, which I love hearing. So Karen is the proprietor and the madame of the cheese company, if you would. And she then decided to open a cafe, which even during the pandemic, she's serving roughly 200 meals a day because her partner,
God.
Kenny also runs the meanest barbecue in Sonoma County. So they're doing barbecue and cheese and they're just rocking the house. And I've never seen someone work so hard, but their cheeses just continuously turn out. And for our delivery and our pivot in the business, we went from open house warehouse to delivery like Todd.
Mhm.
So now Karen sets us up with pre-labeled wedges. So we don't have to cut the cheese. It's just one less step for sanitation during COVID.
That's awesome.
So she sets us up with the pre-cut wedges and those we deliver to our customers. It's on our list every week on the email. You can order a Harbison, a Valley Ford, a Vella Dry Jack, or a Lucy. And so every week we have a cheese, but we've now combined them into a Victory cheese box. And so we're part of the Victory cheese movement. And Todd, this is this amazing new project with the cheesemakers, like Victory Gardens during the Depression era.
Mhm.
Victory cheese boxes is all of us supporting individual cheesemakers, and by purchasing different cheeses from around the regions to help them sell cheese, because so many cheesemakers took a loss from restaurant sales.
Yeah, for sure.
So each week we do a different Victory box, and this week was Estero Gold, Our Lucy, and Harbison.
Nice.
And I can say that Gordon Edgar at Rainbow Grocery is rocking the house, kicking the AWS on the Victory boxes. Like, I mean, I hear from cheesemakers straightforward, he saved my business. And I can tell you 3 creamers I know that have said, if it wasn't for Rainbow Grocery, we would have closed down during this COVID. And I love knowing that the Victory cheese boxes have made that positive effect during the pandemic on these cheese companies. And so what little part I can do, I want to do, but it's victorycheese.com, and you can join. And wherever you live in the country, there's different shipping components around the country, individual cheesemakers or retailers. So just go on there, and Greg O'Neill, who had a cheese shop, Pastoral, in Chicago, has set it up, and you can go to your state and then find where to order. But if you're in doubt, just order from Ari Zingerman's. That's where I send everybody, to Zingerman's, and or to Murray's. Murray's is doing a great Victory cheese box, because those 2 organizations have shipping set up for around the country with no second thought. So, and the third one I never want to leave out is Beecher's. Kurt Damier has a wonderful Washington Victory cheese box, and he's shipping out of Washington and New York City. So just look up Victory cheese and definitely support your cheesemakers. So Todd and Karen, I want to thank you. Karina, was there any other questions? One more question.
Karina, you're muted.
Oh, thank you, Todd.
Oh, that's right. Okay, let's try it again. There was one other question. It was that, this is a pretty easy one. Well, this is for any of you 3, I guess. It doesn't specify. What is a cheese that you like to enjoy at home? What is a cheese that you like to enjoy on the go? Oh,
Karen, go first.
while you're working, I guess.
Yeah. So one of my favorite experiences was with raclette. I was learning German as part of working for a German company, and this wonderful Swiss woman made raclette at home for us. So it was this whole experience, what you talked about, Sheana, about really having that community and that coming together, and then the great tradition that she was sharing. And then at work, we are so lucky we get to have samples of all sorts of cheeses from all over the country from our members. So I don't think I can pick just one, but it's been wonderful to kind of get a cheese education and start learning about the variety that's out there.
That's great. And has anybody else shipped you wine yet? Were we your first wine shipment?
You are our first wine shipment. Absolutely.
Thank you, Todd.
Nice.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
Hey, we got to stand out in the field, right?
Yes. You absolutely
And
do.
Todd, what's your go-to cheese? Like, I mean, unless I drop one off on your porch.
Yeah. Well, your mac and cheese is a go-to cheese of mine.
Karen doesn't know
I have
about
a
the mac and cheese.
16-month-old son, so a lot of the cheese I eat in my house is cheddar because he loves it so much. So all different types of cheddar. I'll have to shout out a huge company, but I mean, like Tillamook extra sharp cheddar is something that we have in like picnic bags a lot because he'll hold a piece of it and just kind of chew on it. But I really like Gouda, but above all, Brie is going to be the top cheese for me. I have a lot of friends here in town that like to bring in large wheels of very, very stinky Brie, and sometimes they're so intense
No names.
that, it ruins the wine bar a little bit. But yeah, if I could have raclette, that'd be pretty amazing. So I'll have to try to do that next time.
I can loan you the raclette machine.
It's really fun.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Karen and Todd, I want to thank you both for joining us, and I hope that you two will stay in touch.
Sure.
And Karen, for future
Absolutely.
experiences, reach out to Todd. He's an expert and a gentleman. And Todd, in return, if you have cheese questions, reach out to Karen for access around the country. And that's what it's about, connecting one another. Especially during these times, it's important to all stick together and work together.
For sure.
So-
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us on, Shauna. Karen, lovely to meet you.
Thank you. It was lovely
Absolutely.
to
Thank
meet
you, Karina and Ben and Karen and Todd. And we'll post this online. And Karen, then you can share it on the ACS. And Todd, you can share it where you'd like. And I thank you both for your time and for your work during these times.
Likewise.
So be safe and healthy.
You too. Take care.
Take it easy.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye, everybody.